Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dream Team Professor podcast. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing all the weekend's action from game week 13, looking over all the top point scorers and key talking points from the games. So we start with the Spurs Liverpool game, which finished 2-1 to Liverpool. Mohamed Salah got a brace in this game and Kane got the goal for Spurs, but it was actually Darwin Núñez who got star man, which surprised quite a few people. He got the assist for the Salah goal and he also hit the crossbar, which was close. But still, a lot of people thought that Salah should have got star man really after scoring 2 goals. He finished with a 7.9 rating, but Darwin Núñez got an 8.1 in this game and snatched it. But Salah did look right back on form as well, so he had great touch for his goals and he's playing with so much confidence. He's now up to 13 goals and 4 assists from 19 games, an 8.8 average from his last 5 games as well. You had Robertson and Alisson got ratings in the defence, but there was nothing for Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. One thing to note though, we did mention it in the last podcast that we thought that Perisic might play a bit more advanced, possibly as a left winger, but actually they've started with 2 up front, so that was Harry Kane and Perisic up top. They did swap that up when it wasn't going too well for them in the first half. In the second half, they brought Kulusevski on, so they did have Perisic on one side and Kulusevski on the other, and that was quite effective. Kulusevski got the assist for the Kane goal, and he really changed the game when he come on. But initially, in that first half, Spurs was so defensive and sat so deep. They were actually playing with quite a few defenders in this game, so they had their back 5, but they also had sort of 3 defensive midfielders too in Bentancur, Basuma and Højbjerg, so it was a really defensive lineup. But yeah, when Kulusevski come on, that sort of changed the game, so they'll be glad that he's fit again. Kane grabbed the only goal for Spurs, but he only finished with a 6.9 rating, so finished with 5 points. The only other players to get any points from this game were Kulusevski for the assist, 2 points, Bentancur with 3 points for the rating, and Perisic with 3 points for the rating. I think Spurs were unlucky not to get the draw in the second half. They did play really well when they started throwing things forward, but it just makes you wonder why they don't start attacking from the beginning of the game, because they were so ineffective in the first half and Liverpool were all over them. But after they got that goal back and after they changed things at half time, it was kind of all Spurs for the rest of that half. Then on to Man City Fulham, which finished 2-1 to Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne got the star man in this game, but it started off with Haaland being benched. Alvarez started up front, but he got an early goal after 17 minutes, and Gundogan got the assist for that one. But then soon after that, Cancelo got a straight red card for a tackle in the box, where he got none of the ball. And then Pereira scored the penalty for Fulham then. So City were down to 10 men, but actually they still managed to finish up with 71% possession. So after playing 70 minutes of football with 10 men, yeah, they still completely dominated the game. They brought Haaland off the bench, and it looked like he scored pretty much soon after coming on, but it was disallowed by VAR for a really tight offside. And it was actually Kevin De Bruyne that would have got the assist for that one, so he put a really good cross into Haaland, and they're linking up just so well. But the guy that finished up getting the assist for the actual Haaland goal, which was a penalty, was Kevin De Bruyne. And there was quite a lot of talk around this one because Kevin De Bruyne did go down really easily, and I'd say pretty much won the penalty. But it was given to Haaland, and it was quite close. Leno almost saved it, but put it away. Got himself a yellow card celebrating as well, so he took his top off to celebrate. But that's quite funny because he was just wearing Man City coloured Under Armour, so didn't get the full effect of just waving his shirt above his head because he had a Man City coloured top on anyway. So it seemed a bit pointless to get a yellow card for that. But yeah, yellow card, but got the goal, and I'm sure he'll start against Chelsea for the next game now. There was no points scored from any of the City defenders. Obviously, Cancelo got a -3 for the red card. But you did see Rodri get 3 points, Alvarez got 8 points and obviously a rating for his goal, and then Haaland finished on 4, which would have been 5 without the yellow card. And Kevin De Bruyne with another star man, he got 10 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, please do give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more regular Sun Dream Team updates. On to the Chelsea-Arsenal game, which finished 1-0 to Arsenal. The star man in this game was Gabriel, and he got the winning goal in this game, and now he's scored more Premier League goals than any other defender since the start of last season. So really good for him, and he's a really good asset to have in defence. I've got Saliba in most of my teams. Gabriel was a bit more expensive at the start of the season, but actually it's looking like Gabriel was probably worth the extra bit of money. But the goal came from a corner which was taken by Bukayo Saka. It was actually left by all the defenders, and I actually think that would have ended up going in directly from Saka. So he could have ended up with the points for a goal there, but actually Gabriel got on the end of it, and I was relatively pleased with that after taking Saka out for Ødegaard last week. So yeah, assist points for Saka. He did get a yellow card, so he only finished on a 4 in the end. Got a 7 rating, but obviously minus points for the yellow card. Gabriel finished on 18, star man, clean sheet points and the goal. And then all of the Arsenal backline ended up with 5 points pretty much for clean sheets. But there was no ratings in the backline other than that, apart from Saliba. But it was quite close for some of the other guys. So you had Ben White and Zinchenko and Ramsdale just narrowly missing a 7 rating. Gabriel Jesus did get a rating in this game, but now he's 9 games without a goal. His average points though is still pretty good, and that sort of shows that he's still chipping in with the assists and he's offering quite a lot to the team. But his average points per game now is 4.7, which is still quite impressive considering he hasn't scored in such a long time. But all round it's a pretty bad showing from Chelsea. The only person that got a rating in that Chelsea side was Azpilicueta. He'd got a booking as well, so he only finished on 2 points. Other than that, it was a lot of zeros and quite a lot of minus ones, with Aubameyang, Chalobah, Gallagher and Sterling all getting yellow cards. But yeah, it's looking quite bad for Chelsea. They really were poor in this game, and they've got some tough fixtures coming up as well against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, and then that's followed by Newcastle, who are looking really good at the minute too. Off the back of this game though, we had Gabriel did get the star man at centre-back, but he didn't make the Brazil team. They've just done their World Cup squad. But Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus got in there. Then on to the Aston Villa-Manchester United game, which was a big surprise. Unai Emery had just taken charge of Aston Villa, and I was kind of expecting that this would be quite a game where they sat deep and defended, but it was the complete opposite. So it ended 3-1 to Aston Villa, and Bailey scored within 7 minutes in this game. And Manchester United looked all over the place. It was then followed up by a Digne goal from a free kick, and that was after 11 minutes. So they were 2-0 down just after 10 minutes. Not good for me because I brought in David De Gea and Dello in this, who finished on -2 and -3 in the end. But it was Jacob Ramsey that got the star man. He got a goal and assist and did score an own goal as well for the Manchester United goal. Luke Shaw did get the assist points for the own goal because that's how it ends up working on Dream Team, but he still finished on a -1. You had yellow cards for Dello, Ronaldo and Luke Shaw. Manchester United might have a few excuses in that they had quite a few injuries. They had Bruno Fernandes, who was injured, Jadon Sancho was ill, and Antony's also injured as well. But they really did look off it. They had Van der Beek playing, who really didn't offer much at all. And Lindelof I thought was pretty bad in defence as well. They really are missing some of those injuries. I brought in 2 Manchester United defenders, or a keeper and a defender, in David De Gea and Dello. But Delo's got a booking in this game, which was his 5th, so he's going to end up missing the next Premier League game. But he will play the Carabao Cup fixture where these two face off again. But yeah, I'm not feeling too confident going into it after seeing this result, even though it will be played at Old Trafford. One other thing I did note that I thought Lautaro Martinez was lucky to not get sent off in the end. He chucked a couple of elbows at Bailey, and yeah, I don't think it got reviewed. But yeah, I thought he was lucky not to get sent off in that one. You watched it back after, and he really did chuck a couple of elbows into his chest. So if you're looking at Manchester United defenders, I'd potentially consider avoiding Martinez, because there's been a few times, he is one of those sort of hard tackling defenders, but there's been a few times where he does really get stuck in and do some dirty stuff as well. So I've already had 3 red cards in my team, in Gomez, Emerson and now Cancelo as well. So I'm not going to want to take any more risks for players that are behaving like that on the pitch. One last thing to add as well, so Jacob Ramsey, star man, he's actually only 1.7 million, so it'd be good to see if he seems to play quite regularly under Unai Emery, and if he can carry on with the goal contributions, because at 1.7 that's a really cheap enabler to get in your team for some budget. So goal and an assist in this game, and we'll just forget about the own goal for this one, just to give him a bit more credit. Newcastle got a 4-1 win away at Southampton, and Kieran Trippier got the star man award again in this game. But we'll start with the goal scorers. So you had Almiron, who he's had 7 goals in 7 games now, so he really is on fire. and a lot of people are starting to bring him in. So he finished on 8 points. But the other goal scorers were Chris Wood, Joe Willock and Bruno Guimaraes. But we'll spend a bit of time on Kieran Trippier because he just keeps getting star man now. And I've seen quite a few people post that they're really frustrated with the ratings and that Who Scored must love Kieran Trippier. But actually, when I went into Who Scored again, I did it in a previous episode. But for this game, I just wanted to have a look again just to see what it is that's getting Kieran Trippier so many star man awards. So for Newcastle specifically, because after losing 4-1, Southampton players are probably not going to get star man. But for Newcastle specifically, Kieran Trippier had the most touches, put in the most crosses, won the most tackles in the game, had the most accurate through balls, and then he finished second for aerials won and the most passes completed in this game. So there were so many different metrics that when you looked at them, Kieran Trippier was top over and over again. And then if he wasn't top, he was finishing second. So it's no surprise why they do keep giving him these ratings. He's involved in so much of the play. And when I was watching Match of the Day yesterday, this probably inputs into it as well, but they brought up a stat on the screen, and this was across the whole season. For successful crosses, Kieran Trippier was ranked first. Passes into the final third, he was ranked second. For chances created this season, he was ranked third. And then chances created from set pieces as well, he was ranked second. So that was out of all the Premier League players. So he's obviously doing stuff that all of the stats are loving. And that's no surprise why he just keeps getting these crazy ratings. It was quite unlucky for the Newcastle defenders. They conceded a goal right at the end in the 89th minute. And that was a goal from Perrault, and it was assisted by Salisu. But really, Southampton were really poor in this game. And yeah, they've had their manager sacked now on the back of this. So yeah, we'll wait and see who they're going to get in as their new manager. Then we had West Ham versus Crystal Palace, which ended 2-1 to Crystal Palace in the end. And it was a really disappointing loss for West Ham. They threw it away right at the end. The star man was Elise in this game, and he got a goal, so 13 points and a 7.8 rating. The other goal was Wilfried Zaha, and he got an assist too in this game. Finished up with 10 points and finished on a 7.4 rating. So he's quite close to that star man. And then Eze got the other assist for Crystal Palace. Benrahma got the first goal in the game though, and that's a really good goal from distance. And he's actually one of West Ham's sort of best performing players in terms of Dream Team. He's on 52 points now. I've got a few friends that support West Ham, and they were really angry when he got subbed off. I saw a quote after that Moyes wanted it to be a tactical change, but a few people I know that were at the game were just gobsmacked that he was taken off. And then even Scamacca as well, he was taken off at half time for Antonio. And Antonio was actually the one that pretty much cost them the game. He went from having the ball in the corner, and he could have really seen out the draw for them, but he had a bit of a stupid shot, gave it straight back to the keeper, and Guaita just hit it straight up the pitch, and Crystal Palace ended up getting that 94th minute winner. So it's really disappointing for West Ham. Benrahma got the 8 points, which was his goal, and a 7 rating as well. Then we had Everton at home to Leicester, and Leicester won 2-0 in this game, and quite convincingly. Maddison was star man, and we actually tipped him in the last video to do well in these next few fixtures, but at I think it was 5.1 million, and it did seem quite steep. But yeah, he finished with 12 points and got 2 assists in this game, and an 8.5 rating. He was really good. And actually, I saw a stat on Match of the Day that he has the second most goal involvements in the Premier League for the whole of 2022, and that's 13 goals, 9 assists in 29 games, and that's only behind Harry Kane. But he is quite a distance in front with 32 goal involvements. But still, with that sort of record, I really do think that he should be going to the World Cup. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I've got a feeling that Gareth just doesn't fancy him and isn't going to take him. But yeah, there's not much else he can do really. He's hitting really good numbers, and he has been consistently for quite a while. So I think he will be really disappointed if he isn't picked. So yeah, he got 2 assists in this game, and the other goals were from Harvey Barnes and Tielemans again. And that Tielemans goal was just an absolute screamer. It was almost like a carbon copy of his one that he scored against Wolves recently, and just hit it straight on the volley into the top corner, and there was no way Pickford was going to save it. But Harvey Barnes, he's got 3 goals in his last 4 games. And that's 5 for the season now, so he's really finding some form as well, so he'd be quite a good pick to bring in. In terms of defence though, it was pretty much good ratings the whole way across that Leicester defence. And actually I've got a stat on Danny Ward as well, so only Ramsdale, Pope and Ederson have more Premier League clean sheets than Danny Ward this season. So Alisson's below, and also Hugo Lloris is below. So yeah, Danny Ward, he was getting a bit of a battering at the start of the season and being bantered, but you're not laughing now. Not really much to report in terms of Everton points. There was a lot of zeros and a lot of -1s. No points scored at all from any of their players. And I think Calvert-Lewin might have gone off injured as well, so that was something to keep an eye on. Then on to the Wolves-Brighton game, and this finished 3-2 to Brighton. So Wolves just really can't buy a win at the minute. I think I saw they got 1 win in their last 5. But the star man went to Mitoma. He got 13 points and he got a goal. The other goals were scored by Pascal Gross and Lallana. Lallana got a goal and an assist in this game, and the other assist was from Trossard, and he's having a really good season. Trossard's up to 68 points now, and he's got a 5.2 average, so it's 7 goals and 3 assists in total. So he's having a really good season, and I've said before, but I really do expect that another big team will come in for him. But at the moment, I think Brighton are up to 6th now, so yeah, there's not many teams bigger. But Chelsea might steal him as well as their previous manager Potter, but we'll see. But you had Guedes from Wolves that got a goal, and Ruben Neves got his 4th goal of the season, and that was from the penalty spot. I think quite a few of them might have been penalties. If they're not bangers, they're always penalties. Pascal Gross, he got his 5th goal. And one thing I was just looking on who scored at, like how they're lining up now with De Zerbi, and it's quite strange. They've got Pascal Gross now at right back, quite a few games, and Trossard's playing as the main striker. Danny Welbeck did sort of come on in the second half, I think it was. But yeah, it's quite strange that Trossard's sort of playing as almost a lone striker. And yeah, Pascal Gross, who started the season so well, is sort of playing at right back now. So that was just something that surprised me. Semedo was the probably the worst player in this game. He got -5 in the end for a red card. And he completely wiped out that Mitoma guy who had a really good game. The only other person that scored any points was Traore from Wolves, but it wasn't Adama Traore. It was Boubacar Traore. He got an assist, but a 6.6 rating. Then on to the last couple of games. So Leeds versus Bournemouth finished 4-3 to Leeds in the end, but they were actually 3-1 down at one point. You had Rodrigo that scored a penalty, and the other goals were scored by Greenwood, who actually got an assist as well, Cooper, and then Somerville, who got not a last minute goal but an 84th minute goal, and he's really making a habit of scoring sort of last minute or late goals now. Got that one against Liverpool as well, so he's having a great time. Billing got a goal for Bournemouth, and he's doing really well this season. He keeps cropping up there. He's got 4 goals, 1 assist and 3 Star Man awards. So quite a sort of budget pick. He's under 3 million. Bournemouth have been doing better than I would have expected actually. But Tavernier was the guy that got Star Man. He got 17 points. He got a goal and 2 assists in this game. So finished with 17 points and 8.5 rating in the end. And I was having a look, and he's 1.4 million at the moment, and he's on 30 points. So if you are desperate for budget, he could be quite a good option. I know I've got Mbuemo in a few of my teams, and I think I'm just sort of giving him loyalty for sort of no reason, because I'm looking at Tavernier here, and he's 1.4 million on 30 points, and I think Mbuemo's on 33 points. So I know a big chunk of it was scored in this game, but there are some sort of cheaper people out there if you are really struggling for budget. But yeah, like from Leeds, you had Somerville got 10 points, Greenwood got 10 points, Rodrigo got 8. The player that got the other goal for Bournemouth was Dominic Solanke. But looking at these teams, there's probably not too many players that are highly owned in the game, so we'll move on to the next one. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. Morgan Gibbs-White got star man in this game, and he actually scored a really good goal. He's looked quite good. He had a really sort of lovely bit of skill to get around a couple of players and put his goal away. But there wasn't that much to report really. Dennis, who used to be at Watford, got an assist. And then my guy, who I was just bad-mouthing, and Buemo, he stepped up and he scored a penalty actually. So that was in Ivan Toney's absence because he was suspended. He did go on to get a yellow card, so lost a couple points there and finished on a 7 in the end, 7 points. Got 7.5 rating, so a good output in this one, but he hasn't really been doing it that regularly across the season. Jensen got the other assist and Wisser, he got a goal. Right, then finally I'm just going to move on to my team update. So I'll run through the transfers I did if you missed my weekend pod that I put out. The transfers I made, I had Hugo Lloris in goal, who I took out for David De Gea, and Sergio Gomez, who I had in defence, I took out for Dalot. Now, the theory behind this was I saw those 2 games against Aston Villa and maybe I should have considered that Unai Emery would have given them a new manager bounce, but I thought they looked pretty terrible in the last game. And I just really, from seeing Unai Emery sort of in the Champions League and Europa League with Villarreal, and then a little bit of how he was at Arsenal, but not quite. But he was fairly defensive and always seemed to set up quite tight, I thought. So I thought in these first initial games to sort of stop the goals going in against them, that they would have sat quite deep and defended, and I thought it probably would be a low scoring game with Man United coming out on top, but it wasn't the case. And obviously they put 3 past Man United, so I got -3 for Dalot and -2 for De Gea, which didn't work out. I took Cucurella out for Trippier. I was just getting sick to death of reading out Trippier got Starman or 7 rating each week and not being able to bring him in because I had no transfers. So I've brought him straight in for Cucurella. But the only downside, which it paid off because he got 10 points, but the only downside of this move is I had to try and free up some budget to be able to get De Gea, Dalot and Trippier in for Lloris, Gomez and Cucurella. I had to free up some budget elsewhere, and I didn't want to move on De Bruyne. I didn't want to move on from Almiron. I couldn't really downgrade Buemo enough to get someone worth having. And then Harry Kane and Haaland, I didn't want to mess around with taking those out. So I decided to take Saka out for Ødegaard. I felt like that was the smallest downgrade that I could have done. But actually overall I was kind of looking to see how I got on. I got 44 points for the game week, which I think is fairly good. But actually when I looked at how my transfers fared compared to my team beforehand, Saka got a 4, Cucurella got nothing, Lloris got a -1 and Gomez got nothing, which finished up on 3 points. Kieran Trippier, I was happy with that, 10 points, but the Manchester United defence really did cost me, so that cost me 5 points. So I had the Trippier 10 points, but Dalot -3 and David De Gea -2, so -5, and then Ødegaard got nothing. So that was 5 points. So really, by making those 4 transfers in this weekend, I've only gained 2 points, which is pretty poor for 4 transfers work. But these are players that I know we have got a wild card coming up, but Kieran Trippier, obviously he's going to go up, so his price would have got away from me. And De Gea and Dalot were both doing well, and I thought if I don't get them in now, they could get away from me, and I might not be able to afford them when it comes to doing that sort of wild card if they carry on with their good form. So that was quite disappointing. But if I go across the whole team then, so David De Gea I've just mentioned and Trippier. Then I had William Saliba in defence, so he got me 8 points for the clean sheet against Chelsea, which I wasn't really expecting any points for the defenders in that game. So I was pleased with the 8 points there. Cancelo getting a red card though, it was really frustrating. I know he's quite highly owned, so everyone was frustrated, but especially for my season so far, I've had Emerson Royale and Sergio Gomez get me red cards, and I think they were both in October. So I've had 2 red cards in October and then 1 red card already in November, which is pretty crap luck. I need to stop picking these bad disciplined players. So yeah, I might have to start looking into how rash these players are before I bring them in. Dalot -3, as I mentioned, and now he's suspended. So he doesn't miss the Carabao Cup game for getting the 5 yellows. He misses the next Premier League game. So hopefully he'll play this next game against Aston Villa. And I'm hoping De Gea actually plays that game as well. As I mentioned in the last video, I don't know how much Ten Hag's going to rotate, so we'll wait and see. Then on to De Bruyne then, so obviously he got star man, and I'm happy with how he's been. He's the sort of player that I just want to leave in all season. Ødegaard got nothing. Again, I wasn't really expecting too much. Bit disappointed that Saka got an assist, but I think it could have been worse. I think he could have got the points for a goal if Gabriel didn't get that little touch on it. So yeah, I'll take that. And Buemo, I'll take 7 points from him all day long. Just hope it was a bit more regular. And then Almiron has been brilliant. So 8 points from him. Happy with that. Harry Kane 5. He was unlucky not to get a rating again. So bit disappointing. More so disappointing because Salah had a really good time. So Salah got 2 goals, didn't he? So yeah, that was quite disappointing, and I think that probably hurt my rank quite a bit. But then Erling Haaland off the bench to score, and did look really dangerous in the short amount of time that he was on. So 4 points from him was pretty good. So I'm not too displeased with 44 points overall. But what I am displeased with is my terrible overall rank. I was at 83k. It's come down a little bit to 73k. So still really not good, but yeah, I knew with how my team done last month, especially, that I'd probably be crawling over the line to that World Cup wild card. So I just got to get through with this team to the World Cup. Use the unlimited transfers and try and just make some better picks overall, but not beating myself up too much. I'll just evaluate where we are when it comes to the World Cup, and then what I want to do is I want to try and think of what's a realistic target for the end of the season that I could reach. So if you've got any ideas of where you think could get from 73k at the minute by the end of the season, feel free to drop it in the comments, and let me know how many game week points you got as well this week. I'm going to leave it there for that episode. Thank you for watching. And if you did enjoy it, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Or if you're listening on Spotify as well, you can give us a follow on there too. But I'll see you on the next episode, and that will probably be at the end of the week once the Carabao Cup fixtures have taken place. Cheers. Bye.